Hi, I'm Aditya Jadhav and this is a 2017 KTM RC390. I've ridden this motorcycle for 12,000 kilometers and I'm gonna give you a long-term report about it. So we're gonna start from the front and then we are gradually gonna go to the end, and throughout the motorcycle I'm gonna tell you my experience, the good thing, the bad thing. To begin with, I'm gonna start from the frontmost point of the motorcycle, which are the tires. These are Metzeler's M5. After 12,000 kilometers, the front tread is still there is some depth left in the front tread. However, if you can't expect the same at the back. You see the center tread is almost worn out. There is barely any life left. There are some tread in the for the corners. The lead angle are still grippy, but the center strip is just not grippy enough. At full clip, the motorcycle fishtails. That is just in 12,000 kilometers, and I don't wheelie as well. And the second thing here are the brakes. So 320 disc with centered brake pads. The braking is amazing. It's marginally improved over the previous generation. However, the centered brake pads have a lot less life in them. I had to change my centered brake pads in somewhere in 10,000 kilometers or so. The next thing I don't like about the motorcycle is the headlamp. When you put the motorcycle to high beam, the low beam does not stay on. I mean, the low beam goes off and only the high beam stays on, which takes away some amount of visibility, or the road is just not well lit. That's all you can say. Next is the dashboard. It is the same since 2012. Of course, the 17 model, the Duke 17 model gets the TFT screen and everything. This is just the plain bland dash. The next thing that I'm gonna point out is the brake lever. The brake lever is very expensive. I broke this piece and I had to replace it. The cost of the new one was 1800 rupees. That's way too expensive for a motorcycle which is locally made. And after the replacement, the new piece does not really have the right amount of coating. If you observe closely, there are some. It's basically leaving its color coat. Then the next we come to is the tank size. Everybody knows this has a 9.5 liter fuel tank, which is a hell lot less when it comes to touring or maybe even just riding plain. So from the 9.5 liter tank, only 7 liter is usable, and the rest 2.5 liter is just reserve. And I don't prefer to ride my motorcycle in reserve, so the range that I get from my fuel tank is somewhere around 140-150 kilometers to one full tank. That's very less if you ask me. So the next thing we talk about is the engine. This is the engine. This engine is reworked for 2017 BS4 compliancy. However, this has lost all the top-end performance. Yeah, the motorcycle will take its own sweet time to hit the rev limiter even in the 5th gear. That's just a bad thing. When if you have ridden the previous generation RC390, you would know that how sick and the mad performance it offered when it came to this segment of motorcycle. You can't say the same about this motorcycle. The 5th and the 6th gear, the motorcycle feels out of breath. That's a bad thing. Yeah. We talk about the rear shock absorber. It's just incorrect. This rear shock absorber is incorrect for the motorcycle. And when I say it's incorrect, I mean this is still soft sprung. No matter, I'm running on the most hard setting that it can offer, but still there is a very big up down movement that the tail catches. After a speed bump, or even when you're gassing it really hard, there is this squat and release that the motorcycle gets into. I would say it is not preferred. It's just not the right setting for this kind of motorcycle. Next is the swing arm. And when I am talking about the swing arm, I also want to point out the fact that this applies to the whole motorcycle. It is very difficult to clean this swing arm. You can't clean this with your plain bare hands and a rag. You need some equipment. I mean, equipment like a long arm brush or a water hose. This applies to the whole of the motorcycle. You can't clean this motorcycle just with your hands, because it is way too complicated. The design is so much aggressive, and it's got so many cuts, lines, and chisel. It's chiseled at every incorrect place. You know, I mean, it is for the benefit of the motorcycle because of the heat management and everything, but it's just a bad thing. I mean, you can't clean the motorcycle. It is a tough job to clean this motorcycle. So from the swing arm, now we move on to the chain sprocket. This is the 45 teeth chain sprocket. It's carried over from the previous generation. You can see in 12,000 kilometers, only this much setting I have left for my chain sprocket. Take a good look at this. Only this much adjustment is left to tighten the chain. It's really very disappointing. The chain sprocket is gonna cost me around 3 grand, and just in 12,000 kilometers, I'm just not ready to change the chain sprocket because that's not what you expect from a locally manufactured motorcycle. You know, when the motorcycles are manufactured locally, they have the upper hand in providing you the superior build quality over the segment. So when I talk about the segment, Yamaha R3 has a better chain sprocket life. Benelli, which has the most expensive chain sprocket, however, it offers some decent life. So when it comes to RC390, I would say it needed some little more of life to it. I mean, I think these are gonna wear out in 15,000 kilometers, and that's still less. I would have expected it to go on to 20,000 kilometers. Okay, so now I'm gonna walk you through the things that I like about my motorcycle. I dislike more than what I like. So anyway, I'll walk you around. So what I like is the heat management of this motorcycle. It does not heat up and stall like the previous generation. That is a big win over the previous model, because it will heat up way too much. In bumper to bumper traffic, the fan is gonna stay on all the time, but it will not conk off and it will not bail out on you. That's a big win for a KTM. The next thing that I love about my motorcycle is the riding dynamics. The riding dynamics are so sorted that you can utilize every engineering aspect that is put into the motorcycle. And when I say that, it is very reactive. Okay, and the handling is very reactive. It is only because the way you sit on this motorcycle. It is very much it reacts to the spine of the rider. All you need to do is lean in a little where you want to turn in, and your reflexes will take care of it, and that's not an exaggeration whatsoever. The next thing that I love about this motorcycle is that it has superior braking. Once you've ridden motorcycles in this segment, the R3, Ninja 300, Benelli TNT 300, which is gonna be updated soon, the Benelli 302R, you know, none of them offer you sintered brake pads. Of course, the Benelli offers you twin disc setup in the front, but however, this is much more responsive than any other motorcycle in this segment. It's, of course, the sintered brake pads have their have its own little problems, that it wears out way too soon, but I think that's okay for what it has to offer. Next thing that I love about this motorcycle is the fact that this is electronically superior over the segment. It's got ride-by-wire, it's got ABS, it has a slipper clutch. That's a mechanical thing, but okay, works. It's got way too many functions in the dashboard. For example, the service reminder, instantaneous fuel efficiency, fuel range. Of course, these are the things that you get in many motorcycles now, but it's good to have these things. But things like ride-by-wire, ABS, you know, big win. So electronically, it is far more superior than others. Yeah, so the next thing that I love about my motorcycle is the paint quality. I mean, I don't know if the camera would do justice that to show you that the paint is way too superior. You need to feel this in person, that this motorcycle is painted with some high quality paint. That's a good thing, because you know, this is what the paint quality is what made this motorcycle feel like a production motorcycle. And when I say this, I mean the previous generation RC390 had a paint scheme which made it feel like a race motorcycle. So majority was white, it had details with orange and grey. So that felt more like a race motorcycle. This feels more like a production motorcycle. That's one reason why I bought it. Okay, so another thing that I love is that the fact that this offers you 43 bhp, 42 point something ish bhp, and 35 newton meters of torque. Or yeah, for those numbers, this has way good fuel efficiency on the highway. Yeah, I have churned out almost 27, 28. I've churned out almost 29 kilometers to a liter from this motorcycle on the highway. Of course, I have to be very soft and gentle on the inputs, but that's all. That's what you want to do on highway cruising, right? So it's good. Okay, so the bonus things that I'm gonna tell you about this motorcycle is the fact that I love that this has adjustable clutch, and I mean the lever is adjustable to reach, as well as the brake lever. So that's amazing. Because the sintered brake pad, it has way too much of fade, so you can dial up the clutch, the brake lever reach, and you can have the same braking response from the motorcycle. Yeah, that's good. Okay, the next thing that I don't like about the motorcycle, but it's actually a good thing, because this has a very low seat height. Apache RR310, it's quite tall. R3 not so tall. Ninja fair, but this feels way low than any of the motorcycle in the segment. I mean that makes it a lot more easier to ride and maneuver. So yeah, it's a good thing. It's a plus one. Okay, so another bonus thing that I love about this motorcycle is there are way too many aftermarket parts available for this. I mean, there are tuners ready to tweak this motorcycle for more performance. You get like I complained about the rear shock absorber. You can get an aftermarket Öhlins or a refurbished Yamaha R6 shock absorber for this motorcycle. It has way too many options for aftermarket exhaust, slip-on or full head kit, which adds more character to the motorcycle. There are way too many tuning houses to tweak its ECU. It has way too many options for piggyback. For piggyback ECUs for this motorcycle and the 17 one, and also the fact that this has a ride-by-wire. You can have a short quick shifter on the motorcycle. So yeah, I don't know how much it's gonna help, because I've never ridden a motorcycle with a quick shifter, but they say it helps. It has a real-time advantage on the track or when you're on the go. So let's see. So anyway, that's all. That's my 12,000 kilometer long-term report of my 2017 RC390. If I've missed out on something, you let me know in the comments below. If you disagree with me, comment below. If you agree with me, comment below. Like, share, subscribe, but I am not a YouTuber. Yeah, it is very difficult to clean. Also tell me if you like the white alloys painted on my motorcycle. I did them myself. It is a very bad paint job. It does not match the paint quality of the manufacturer and the one that I've done. So yeah, bear with it.